Hi everybody, Carol here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Glad you could come by today. Today I'm making a card, a snow card, um, made by Stampin' Up. It's called, this set is called Big on Christmas. And I'm going to use the snow stamp that says Let It Snow. And I'm going to use another stamp set. It's called Delightful Decorations, but I'm just going to use two little stamps out of this set to stamp on that little white band you see there. And it goes across the middle of one of the cards I make. So excuse the little light that's hanging down there on the right hand side. It just lost its balance and fell down, so you'll have to excuse that. But anyway, so then I use my Stamp-A-Majig so that I can position these well on the paper. And you stamp onto the acetate sheet, put the little handle up there, and then go straight down with your stamp to get the right positioning. And then I use my white scraps that I have when I cut up my 8.5 by 11 paper to make an A6 card, which is 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. That's the size card that I use. So I'm going around this little acetate sheet on every corner to stamp these little pieces so that I can come back and position them on the white paper. So here we go. I'm going to line this up, the word snow, hold it down and put on my handle there. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's a pigment ink. Really good for details. It's my favorite black ink, actually. And so I put my handle back just in case I have to go back in again. But I didn't. It worked out just fine. So now I'm going to do another one just as a backup, or if I want to make two cards, which I end up making more than that, and stamp it again and set those aside. Now I'll use these little bitty strips, and I marked the center of this card, and then I'm going to stamp on either side and try to keep them the same distance apart. Straight down. Then once you do the first one, it's easier to line up the others. And of course you could mark with a ruler. You could measure and mark all four. In this case, I'm going to use a different little stamp, and I'm going to change to a red ink. Funny thing is, I end up not using these little bands. After all, you'll be able to tell at the end of the video when you see the final cards that this is missing. So I thought I'd better tell you, so you'll be wondering where they are. But I left it in because this is the way things go in the crafting world. So you could still learn from doing this little step, but just use it on another card. So sorry about that. So now I'll set those aside and get out my big shot. I'm going to use a die by Doris called Snowflake Border. And there's another one of my scraps that I cut off when I cut my paper size for my card base. And going to crank this one through. I've used it a lot for a long time, so it's losing a little bit of its sharpness. So I have to work with it a little bit, struggle with it maybe a little bit to get it cut out. But it's okay. It works out with those little intricate details. It's a little harder to get out, but it's worth it because it's so pretty and so delicate looking. So now I'm bringing in a card that I cut the word snow out, and thought I'd try something different there. And then this one, I backed it with a darker blue, the word snow. This one is a portrait size, and I decided to um, turn it a different direction. I had to cut, this time the snowflakes were actually too long, so I had to cut them off. And I went back and colored in his little hat with a Millennium pen. I had tried it with a colored pencil, and it was just too dull. So this gives a shiny look. I'm going back and coloring with the yellow and a couple of greens and a couple of oranges or a red, just to give a little bit of shading, although it doesn't really show, excuse me, on that small of a space. And then I'm taking this same cerulean blue that I colored in some of those letters earlier and made a little heel. And I'm putting on some Tombow glue on a scratch sheet of paper, and I'm using a crochet hook to spread that glue in a very fine line. I thought about using a toothpick, but I figured the glue might cling to it, so maybe this metal would do a good job. So I'm making the line, and I go back and I actually ended up needing some more glue, and I put some on the top of his hat and on the top of the letters, so it would look as if it really was snowfall coming down. And then the glitter I use is called Dazzling Diamonds by Stampin' Up, and I just like it because it's so fine and it has a real glitter to it like diamonds. So I wipe it off a little better than I show here. I go back with the paintbrush later and wipe it off. But anyway, that's the card. Those are the cards for today. I hope you get out and make some yourself. Use what you have and make a snowy, wintry card. Bye-bye for now.